Hey guys, welcome to day 12 of my 90-day video challenge. For those of you who aren't familiar, I am doing a 90-day video challenge where every single day I am creating a video. It can be a pre-recorded video, it might be a short, or it might be a live video. And today's is a pre-recorded video, and I want to share a little bit about me and my journey and how I got to where I am today. I got first interested in video and television production when I was still in high school. I had broken my ankle one year. I think I was in my junior year of high school. And I was pondering, what am I going to major in when it's time for me to apply to school? And I kept scanning my brain. And then it all of a sudden just popped into me that I loved television production. I used to have a composition notebook where I would write down the synopsis of all of these different TV shows that I used to watch, particularly on PBS. And PBS was the bomb.com back then. And I decided that's what I wanted to major in. So I found a school. I decided I was going to major in radio and TV production, started my senior year. And towards the end of my senior year, my mother had gotten me an internship at the local TV station where we lived, and I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And that job afforded me the opportunity to sort of not only see what it was like to experience video production from a television standpoint, soup to nuts, but I did a lot of the different jobs, with the exception of being on-air talent, which was fine by me because I had zero interest in being in front of the camera. I literally did every job that you could do behind the camera, with the exception of directing the news. And that job made me realize that this was something that I wanted to do. What I didn't realize was at that time, even though I had had this amazing opportunity, there was a fear that resonated within me deep down. I knew that I was afraid of being on camera, but I didn't know what other fears I had that were just lurking, ready to pounce, until I started to experience them as I got older. I left the Virgin Islands after studying at the university for a year. Back then it was a college. And I went to New York, and instead of continuing my education at the schools that I got accepted at, I decided, I know what I'm doing. I don't need this. And before I tried to get a job, I actually went to a technical school where I studied advanced television production and got really deep into the advanced editing platforms that they had by that point. And I ended up working at a post-production company, and I did that for about a year and a half to 2 years. Then jumped from there to another one. And needless to say, I never ended up doing a lot of the things that I wanted to do, which was primarily video editing, because at the time when I went to these companies, they were all unionized. So in order for you to touch the equipment, you needed to be a member of the union. So when I worked in the post-production companies, I just worked in other departments. I worked with the editors, but I didn't actually do any editing. So that kind of disappointed me and sent me on this track of, oh, okay, that's a dream that I can't fulfill. And I do regret that, because had I really just pursued it and really tried to figure out all of the different ways that I could get to do the thing that I wanted, I probably would have been able to achieve those goals a lot sooner. But needless to say, I still stayed in that industry for a number of years. After working in New York for 8 or 9 years, I ended up going to California, where I ultimately ended up working as an assistant to a producer, director. I ended up working on a bunch of projects for ABC, and also freelanced on commercials and things of that nature as a production coordinator or as a key production assistant. And then finally, I ended up working at Sony Pictures in their for their ImageWorks company, which was their visual effects division. And I managed the art department, who had all of the artists that work there. And they did all of the previs work where they would draw out the scenes before they actually became real. And I did that up until I moved back to New York. And by the time I came back to New York, I sort of had gotten out of film and television until I ultimately ended up starting my company. And my husband and I at first used to do TV commercials for Cablevision, which is a local cable company here in Brooklyn. And then I eventually went off on my own and started my company, which is my current company, Virtually in Sync. And it went from just doing video editing for speakers to the iteration that it is today, which is primarily doing consulting and coaching for clients that really should have a presence online using video, but they're apprehensive for a number of reasons, starting with they're just overwhelmed by the process. They don't know what tools that they can use, whether they should do things on their own. And even if budget requires them to do it on their own, they're not really sure of what direction they should go in. And that's when they work with me. And I either walk them through all what they need to do in order for them to get settled doing it themselves, or my company does it for them. So I wanted to just share with you my journey with videophobia in terms of the fact that my background was video. And the assumption is if that is something that you've always done, whether it's editing or directing or whatever aspect of it behind the scenes, that doesn't necessarily translate to in front of the camera. In front of the camera means that you need to be at ease. You need to be comfortable. You need to be able to be at ease with yourself and allow the camera to film you as you are. And a lot of us secretly are perfectionists, and we don't want for the world to see that I fumble over my lines. I may forget the train of thought that I'm talking about. I do tend to be, and I've said this in a previous video, I am a yapper. I do tend to talk a lot. I know normally for a really long time, I didn't do videos like this, which are videos where I'm just doing bullets or bullet points or just a guide. Like right now, I know the topic is about me, my journey. Other than that, I just have a little bit of notes about sharing my origin story. And then I have a call to action. That's it. Everything else in the in between, I'm kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, I'm winging it, but I'm just speaking as casually as I can and as relatably as I can, because I think it's important I've finally realized this. I think that it's important for me to be who I am, flaws and all. And it is a great way for people to get to know, like, and trust you when they can not only learn from you, but they can learn from your experiences and the things that you are willing to do that make you uncomfortable or nervous. And this challenge that I'm doing is a big deal for me, because even though I have gotten way more accustomed to being on camera over the years, because I've been at this for over 10 years. And even though that is a lot easier for me, what I'm not used to doing is churning out the quantity of content that I have to do on this challenge, because this challenge is forcing me to create at least 7 to 10 videos every week. If I want to stay ahead of the game and not film every single day, literally, which, by the way, I did try that once before. It is taking me completely out of my comfort zone, because not only do you have to get yourself prepped, and I don't wear makeup. For those of you who are unaware, or if you can't tell, you should be able to tell, I don't wear makeup. I did go through a phase where I was wearing it because I had had a coach that said, oh, before you go on camera, you have to make sure that you're wearing a lipstick that pops and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I did try that, but it wasn't me. I felt extremely uncomfortable. And then particularly if I am under lights and it's a warm day. I'm in New York, so the humidity is a killer sometimes, not as bad as the South, but it's still bad. All I would be doing is sweating, and that would make me even more uncomfortable, and I'd be more self-conscious. So it didn't make any sense for me to do that. So I had to embrace a lot of things as I've been on this journey of getting comfortable in front of the camera and not having makeup on and being okay with you seeing, whatever blotches or whatever you may be seeing. Or even when I decided to shave my head, which is a story for another day, I have scarring alopecia. That was a big deal as well. And even now, like today, I didn't shave because I have some issues going on at the back of my head where I can't shave. So it's just like, it's a lot. It's a lot when you need to create content. But what I wanted to really focus on about my journey is that I truly am embracing myself, flaws and all. If my hair looks a little jacked or whacked or whatever terminology you want to call it, so be it. It's how I looked all of today as I was doing my day, and the fact that I'm not wearing makeup, this is how I am every single day. So if you have the pleasure of bumping into me in person, it's not going to be a shock if you're seeing me just running about doing my average thing, because it's not going to be night and day where I'm wearing makeup on camera and then when you see me, I'm not. So this is me. And so I want to just share with people that it's really important to do things, and I'm embracing this, that are taking you out of your comfort zone. So if that's, just going on camera without makeup at least once, great. If it's, if you're somebody that suffers from scarring alopecia or any form of alopecia and allowing your audience to see that, that's up to you. I'm not telling anyone to do what they are not comfortable doing. This is something that I had to embrace and I chose to do. And like I said, I'll share my hair story on another episode. And then just challenging yourself. I've challenged myself over the years, and in the next video, I'm going to talk about some of those challenges, but definitely doing this current challenge is a huge deal because it requires me to create a lot of content frequently. And that wasn't something that I was accustomed to. And I think I've shared in probably the very first video, kind of what the process was. So you can go back to day one to see what that is. But I'm sure I will be repeating myself again at some point along the lines. But I just wanted to come in and just talk to you about what my journey was and how I first discovered that what I'm doing is what I want to do. And I'm going to also share in a future video my next story or my next pillar or the continuation of what it is that I'm going to be doing. Because if you remember, I talked about a fascination with television and film. And that's not exactly what I'm doing, but I do want to talk about that in a later video. So my question to you is, what early experiences did you have in your life that put you on the journey that you're on today? And for those of you who want to come on my journey with me and join me on my 90-day challenge, and you can do a 7-day video challenge on your own, or if you are so apprehensive about being on camera that you just can't even tolerate the thought of it, then I ask you to join me on any one or all 3 of my workshops that are coming up this month, next month, and November. And it's the Embrace Visibility Workshop. And I'm going to put a link to that either below or up above. And the first one is on September 20th. I have two each month. September 20th and the 24th are the first ones, and that's going to be showing you how to create faceless videos using Capwing or Kapwing and answer Socrates. So join me and this challenge if you dare. All right, so I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.